Have you ever fallen down a rabbit hole looking for something online? You start with one simple question, and an hour later, you've got 10 tabs open and you're no closer to the answer. Well, it turns out there's actually a map for that whole journey, and it was created by a scholar named T.D. Wilson, long before we all had the internet right in our pockets. Okay, let's get into it.
I mean, we've all been there, right? That feeling of just frustration when you're searching for something specific. It could be the right recipe, a key piece of data for work, or hey, maybe just trying to win an argument with a friend. So why does a task that seems so simple get so complicated?
Well, here's the thing. We tend to think of searching as a straight line from question to answer. But in reality, it's more like a winding path, full of detours and barriers that we don't even see. And this is the core idea that T.D. Wilson really dedicated his work to understand.
Wilson is basically considered the father of a field that studies exactly this, our information-seeking behavior. It's really just the formal name for that entire, messy, human process of realizing you need to know something and then actually going out to find it and use it. It's the how and why behind every single search you've ever made.
So, how in the world do you map something that complex? Well, Wilson's first real attempt came back in 1981. You can think of this as the very first blueprint for our search journey. It was clean, it was logical, and it pretty much laid the foundation for everything that came after.
The process he first laid out was, beautifully simple. It all starts with a need. You realize you're missing something. So you make a demand on an information system. Back then, that could be a library or an expert. Today, it's a search engine. From there, it's a simple fork in the road. Success or failure. If you succeed, you use and maybe share that info. And if you fail, well, you're right back at the beginning, trying again. And what this gives us is this basic, almost mechanical view of the whole thing. It's a neat flowchart that makes perfect sense on paper, right? A leads to B, which leads to either C or D. It's clear, it's direct, and it's to the point.
But, and this is a big but, Wilson himself realized that our lives are a lot messier than a simple flowchart. What about the stress you feel when you're on a deadline, or the confusion you have trying to search for something you know nothing about? What about all the human stuff? This thinking led him back to the drawing board, and it resulted in his much more nuanced 1994 model. This one isn't just a blueprint anymore. It's a detailed psychological and social map that puts the person right smack in the center of it all. So here's the game changer. Wilson proposed that our need for information is never the real need. It's always secondary. We don't just want information for the sake of it. We want it to solve some other more fundamental problem. And secondly, he realized that the path to getting that information is always, and I mean always, blocked by barriers.
So where do these primary needs even come from? According to Wilson, they spring from, well, our entire lives. Your personal situation, your job or your role in the family, the very environment you live in. But it goes even deeper to things like physiological needs, like your health, or affective, emotional needs, like anxiety, and even cognitive needs, like just really wanting to understand something. And this is probably the most powerful insight from his work. The very things that create the need for information can become the barriers to finding it. For example, the stress of a health problem, that's a physiological need, can make it emotionally really difficult to search for and process medical info. Your context isn't just the starting point, it's the entire landscape of your search.
Okay, so let's put these two maps side by side, because the evolution in thinking between 1981 and 1994 is a huge leap. It's a leap from seeing us as simple information processors to seeing us as complex human beings. The 1981 model is all about the process. It's a clean, kind of impersonal sequence of events. But the 1994 model, that's all about the person. It recognizes that we aren't just abstract searchers. We are individuals stuck in a rich, complex, and sometimes really difficult context that shapes our entire journey for knowledge.
Now, you might be thinking, okay, this is some interesting academic theory, but what does it have to do with me scrolling on my phone? Well, it has absolutely everything to do with it. These models are probably more relevant now than they ever have been.
Just think about it for a second. Your social role as a student creates the need to research a paper. Your role as a parent creates the need to find the safest car seat. That's the driver. But what about the barriers? Today, there are things like information overload, paywalls, misinformation, or just a terribly designed website. The context and the barriers are all still there. They just look a little different.
So, I'll leave you with this question. The next time you type something into a search bar, just take a second to think like Wilson. What's the real need that's driving your search?
Is it emotional? Is it social? Is it professional? And maybe more importantly, what are the invisible barriers, either in your own mind or on the screen, that are shaping the answers you ultimately find?